laying roads, because it might require eminent domain, providing currency, those would be the public good. So those are the activities, those 4 activities are the ones that require force. And having the government do anything beyond the limited set of activities that require force is foolish, because the government's a monopoly. And like all monopolies, it has very little incentive to please its customers and very little incentive to be cost effective. When we give more and more responsibility to the government, we're giving more and more responsibility to the least efficient institution in our society. So that's why libertarians like us, who are modern advocates of the Jeffersonian philosophy, that's why we say, because the government is a monopoly and therefore inefficient, that's why it should only do the things that require force, and then we should let the market or private businesses provide other services, is what we say. So here are the 2 key concepts of Jefferson's philosophy, which is libertarianism, what we're advocating. The 2 key concepts are, and this is what I tell somebody if they ask you to explain it to them. What Jefferson said is, we have a limited government. It's limited to only those specific functions that require force. He would say the government can collect tax money to pay for those specific functions, but it's not allowed to collect a penny more in taxes than what it needs to do those 4 functions. So that's the first concept, is limited government. The second concept is that we live in a free society. And what it means to live in a free society is, well, if you're not hurting anybody or their property, if you're mentally an adult, then you should get to live your life the way you want. That's what it means to be free and live in a free society. So those are the 2 key concepts of Jeffersonian philosophy. Now, like I said, we're the last ones who are kind of advocating this philosophy, and your reaction to that might be, well, okay, come on, that might have worked in the 18th century, but there's no way it could work now in the 21st century. It's just the world's too complicated. Well, now there are lots and lots of smart people out there who still think it could work in the 21st century. There have been 5 Nobel Prize winners in economics who were libertarians and would agree with pretty much everything I'm going to say here today. The one you might have heard of is Milton Friedman. He's a famous economist who won the Nobel Prize, and he's kind of your classic libertarian. There's some other people you probably know who are libertarians as well. Clint Eastwood is a libertarian, Kurt Russell, Drew Carey, Dave Barry is a libertarian, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, I always get their names wrong. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the guys who do South Park, they're both libertarians. And if you ever watch, like you've seen, there's political episodes of South Park, you ever watch those and you find yourself going, yeah, damn right, while you're watching them. Well, you got a little bit of a libertarian in you if that's how you feel. And then Penn and Teller, the magicians, they have a show on Showtime. They're very outspoken libertarians, probably the most outspoken libertarians in America. And those shows, the political episodes of their show, are also libertarian politics. Now, if you look around the state, we got a lot of people running as libertarians around the state. And this is just to give you an idea. Often we're just called nuts, or you don't have to listen to them because they're crazy people. But we got me. I got a PhD from Minnesota, and I'm a college professor. We got 2 physicians who are running for the legislature in Iowa City. John Heiderscheit, who's our Senate candidate, he has a law degree from Stanford, and he started a $1 million business, a multi-million-dollar business in Bettendorf. And then we got 2 physicists. Our guy who's running for legislature from Ames, and the guy who's running for the 1st District congressional seat are both physicists. So we may be nuts, but we are extremely well-educated nuts. You have to give us that, okay? So I still think it can work today. Now I'm going to take that philosophy that I just described and I want to apply it to 3 issues. We were talking beforehand about what issues we should do, and I think we got a request to talk about marijuana legalization, which is one of our big issues. Yeah, we're kind of like the Democrats on this, but the Democrat might say, I would like to see medical marijuana legalized. As a libertarian, we're going to say, yeah, we're in favor of medical marijuana, we're in favor of recreational marijuana, we're in favor of ornamental marijuana. Anything you want to do with marijuana is okay with libertarians. I'm a neuroscientist, and let me tell you, marijuana is less dangerous for your body than caffeine is. And it's kind of crazy that we're spending approximately, best guess is about $87 million a year in Iowa to deal with the marijuana problem. And I think that is just money sent right down the rat hole. Well, we are experiencing the same problems with drug prohibition that they experienced with alcohol prohibition in the 1930s. And the solution to those problems, we would say, is the same. We ought to consider legalizing these drugs. Now, nobody knows what would happen for sure if we were to legalize it. So what I would suggest is, why don't we take maybe just like one county and legalize in that one county for like 2 years and just see what happens. If it was just so awful that we could never imagine doing this, then we won't do it. But I really think we give it a try. It's legal in Portugal, it's legal in the Czech Republic, it's legal in Holland, and they don't have any problems at all. I think if we were to try it, we wouldn't have any problems either. But I think it's not intellectually honest, given how much money we are spending on this, not to at least try it on a limited basis for a period of time. So that's one of my issues. Now, second issue I'm going to talk about a little more, and that's the smoking ban. 2 legislative sessions ago, the Iowa legislature passed the smoking ban, which means that no business in Iowa can allow smoking on its premises. No restaurant or bar can have smoking anymore. Now, that's a dead issue with the Republicans and Democrats. They aren't interested in revisiting that, but it drives libertarians like us up the wall. And let me try and explain why that is. What I think the smoking ban illustrates is the difference between the way the free market solves problems and the way the government solves problems. So let's start with something other than smoking right now. Let's start with the types of restaurants in a town. Now, I'm from Ames, and I know how the restaurants are in Ames, so let me describe that. If you look at Ames, there are a whole lot of pizza places, there are lots of hamburger places, there are lots of Mexican places in Ames. There are fewer seafood places, but there are some, and there are fewer Greek places, but there are some. And so the idea is that the types of restaurants in town are set by the market, because lots and lots of people like hamburgers and pizza. The market provides a lot of those types of restaurants. Fewer people like seafood and Greek food, so there are fewer of those restaurants. But the beautiful thing is that everybody, even people whose tastes are in the minority, they got a restaurant they can go to and get what they want, so that's good. Now, before the smoking ban, and this is again because I know the data from Ames, before the smoking ban in Ames, the market set the types of smoking rules that were going to be at the restaurants and bars. So if you looked at Ames before the smoking ban, 65% of the restaurants in town did not allow smoking before the ban, and 35% did. That is, in other words, since most people wanted to be in a smoke-free environment, yeah, most people went to restaurants that didn't allow smoking. There were still some people who still wanted to eat and smoke at the same time, so there were fewer restaurants for those folks. But the nice thing was, everybody had a place they could go, and everybody could get what they want. So that's how the market solved the problem. But now the government got involved, and because the majority of people don't like to be in a smoky environment, well, the legislature passes a law that says, okay, no restaurant can allow smoking. In other words, the majority gets what it wants, minority gets nothing. Alexis de Tocqueville was a Frenchman who came and visited the United States in the 19th century because he wanted to write about our form of government. And he wrote a book. Those of you who took Western Civ in college may have had to read it. I had to. It's called Democracy in America. And what he said in his book, Democracy in America, was that the thing Americans had to worry about with their form of government was what he called the tyranny of the majority. That is, the majority could use the government to impose their preferences on everybody else, including people who weren't hurting anybody else, but just were doing something that the minority didn't like, and that we had to be worried about this. Well, to me, the smoking ban is exactly what he was talking about when he talked about tyranny of the majority. In a free society, adults who are gathered on private property, they're not hurting anybody off that property, well, I think they should be able to do whatever they want. That should be their choice. And so that's a better way of handling the smoking problem, the market solution, than the government solution is what I would say. Now, what I get when I say this is a lot of people say, yeah, but now, wait a second here. There are people who work in these restaurants, and they're going to be exposed to smoke all the time. Now, don't we have to have a smoking ban to prevent those people from the health damage that would be caused by working at these places? Well, that is true. There may be some health effects from working in smoke all the time. But lots of people do have dangerous jobs. Construction work is dangerous. Farm work is dangerous. Many forms of manufacturing work are dangerous. Driving is the 4th leading cause of death in the United States, and lots of people have to drive as part of their job. The reason people take dangerous jobs that have a health risk attached to them is because they feel like the benefits of the job are worth the risks.